Hey buddy, this is Dad. Before I left, I promised your mom I would read a chapter of a book every day to you. And I just wanted to get into that a little bit and see how it goes. If you're not interested yet, it'll be here when you get older. So this is The Samurai's Tale by Eric Christian Hogard. And it's one of my favorite books, and it used to be something I read all the time as a kid. And now that we're going to be living in Japan, it's even better. So I just wanted to read a little bit and kind of see how this goes. I'll start with the preface. That's something that's written before the story, and you'll find all about that later. How should I begin my story? The storyteller is like a wanderer at a crossroad who does not know which path to follow, yet is aware that should he use the wrong one, he will never reach home. The way a story is told is as important as the tale itself, and this thought has kept me from dipping my brush in ink. Today, as I went for my usual walk outside my village, I came across a farmer plowing his field. The ox that dragged the plow was large, and I paused to admire the beast. The farmer's daughter, a little girl no more than 10 years old, was leading the animal. Being too frightened of the ox to take hold of its halters, she had instead attached a stick to it, which she held gingerly in her hand. When she had to help turn the giant beast at the end of a furrow, her fear became so obvious that I could not help but smile. It was then that the thought came to me, not only how I should tell my story, but also that these three, child, beast, and man plowing, were eternal. Age and death could not touch them. The great lords with their armies, the knights, the samurai with their swords, were the froth on the waves, the scum and the foam, the bubbles that rise and burst and then are gone. Now I know which path I must follow. I must tell my tale so simply that the man whom I watched plowing and his little frightened daughter could understand it, for they will always be with us. As long as the fiery dragon sails across our skies, men will plow the fields, and their wives and daughters will plant the rice that feeds all men, however high or low their stations. I lived in a time when the word peace had little meaning, and when the great lords of Japan fought over the country like dogs over a bone. A time when blood flowed like rivers, and no man knew at sunrise if he would be alive when the sun set. It was a world filled with treachery and hate, tortured by the vanity of men who wished to rule over others before they had learned to master themselves. I was born in the borderland between the provinces of Shinano and Echigo. My father wore the two swords of a samurai. He was a vassal of the lord of Echigo, Uesegi Kenshin. He was not wealthy, but a samurai who, when needed, would help till his own land. He died when I was 4 years old, killed while serving his master in a battle against the mighty lord of Kai, Takeda Shingen. I shall begin my tale on the day when I lost not only my father, but my mother and my 2 older brothers as well. A storm swept across our land, and when it had passed, I was the only survivor of my family. In the morning of that day, my name had been Murakami. I was a bushi, a knight's son whom every woman in the village would fondle and spoil. Before the sun had set, I had been given the name Taro, a servant's name, and I was of no more importance than that name implied.